Yeah, it's rewind time.
I'm a young lad, younger than I can remember. A movie is released and changes the world. We all know that film. That film was. They already read the title of the video. Oh, you're right. Have you ever heard of a little movie called The Dark Knight? Is a post 9/11 noir crime drama within the comic book film subgenre and stars the titular character Batman as he and Gotham City Police Lieutenant Jim Gordon try to bring down the mob with the help of a new Gotham District Attorney Harvey Dent, and the whole plan seems to be working until, in an act of desperation, the mob turns to the help of
Oh, aha, ha, ooh, ha, ha. And I thought my jokes were bad.
Give me one reason why I shouldn't have my boy here pull your head off.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. It's gone.
That wasn't the magic trick. I saw the pencil just went up into his eye. This is lame.
the Joker. No, I just want to get out of the way that I don't ever plan on making a video on the Joker. Frankly, it's pretty unnecessary. Don't worry, I'm sure you can find several thousand people explaining why he's so great. But this isn't about one of the greatest villains in cinematic history. This is about one of the overlooked characters in The Dark Knight. One that was completely overshadowed by Heath Ledger's Joker. And you read the title, it's Harvey Dent.
The night is darkest just before the dawn. And I promise you, the dawn is coming.
In the film, Batman is labeled as the Dark Knight, hence the title of the film, The Dark Knight. But the film has a heavy hand in duality, so as Batman is the personification of order outside the law, Harvey Dent is the personification of order inside the law. Batman is a fascist and enforces his own will on Gotham, and will do the dirty work to keep the streets clean and uphold justice. So he goes out at night beating criminals to a pulp, dressed as a rodent to imitate Mr. Dinklage.
I have ears like a cat and eyes like a rodent.
Thanks, Mr. Dinklage.
Hi, Pete.
Mr. Dent, however, has a more civilized approach.
So civilized.
Enforcing the law through idealism. Dent is a Christ figure, and that is shown throughout the movie multiple times. And Bruce even recognizes this. Bruce sees Harvey as his hope too. Because of Harvey's ability to inspire others and lock up hundreds of criminals
Without wearing a mask.
he sees a future without Batman, and a future with Rachel. Harvey is Gotham's White Knight. No, not that White Knight. And the two knights, the dark and the white, are the physical representation of the best of what can come out of Gotham City. But unlike Bruce, someone labeled as a vigilante, but is really a good moral person, Harvey, who is labeled as the best of us, is not all clean. You get to see cracks in Harvey's personality and ideology.
You can't give in!
Versus Bruce's ideology, because unlike Bruce, Harvey didn't have an extreme tragedy to bring him so rigidly to his ideology. Director and personal deity Christopher Nolan has also stated that Harvey's dreamed of doing what he might later be doing as Two-Face. This version of Two-Face is not maniacally laughing brother of Ludendorff, but a messiah figure with a tinge of darkness that can and therefore will rise to the surface in this type of story. Rachel. No, not Rachel from Friends. Rachel throughout The Dark Knight can be seen as that perfect future with a wife and a family akin to the Garden of Eden or heaven. Both Bruce and Harvey want to have that with her. So when Joker does this, Both Bruce and Harvey have their hopeful future destroyed. But once again, because Bruce and Harvey are not alike, because Harvey is not Bruce, he's susceptible to the Joker, which is why the hospital scene works so well, and his downfall spiral into vengeance is believable. Throughout The Dark Knight, Dent carries his coin with heads printed on both sides that is a representation of Dent himself. At the beginning of the movie, Dent flips the coin to make a decision, but like he says,
I make my own luck.
mostly because he only calls heads, and heads is printed on both sides. But by the end, he only believes in fairness.
It's not about what I want. It's about what's fair!
His coin is scarred on one half, just like Harvey, as the coin is a representation of Harvey. It makes its own luck in the beginning of the movie, but is a tool of chance by the end.
The world is cruel, and the only morality in a cruel world is chance. Unbiased, unprejudiced, fair. His son's got the same chance she had. 50-50. I'm sorry, Harvey.
But Dent is also presented as the physical representation of Gotham, with Batman representing the people of Gotham, trying to save Gotham from being scarred by the Joker, the representation of crime. God, this movie can be dissected so much. Besides the amount of symbolism and depth implemented into Dent that I keep gushing over, Nolan also consistently foreshadows Harvey's ultimate fate with shots such as this, where half of Harvey's face is covered in shadow, and scenes like when Bruce and Harvey have that double date, where Harvey tells Bruce in one of the most quoted lines of the movie,
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
that Bruce himself later tells Gordon and us, the audience.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Just to cement the importance of that line, and how it summed up Harvey's character arc when he didn't die from the Joker's attack as a hero, so instead lived on to become the villain, and what Bruce will later have to do to save Gotham. He instead becomes the villain, taking Harvey's place so that Harvey can remain the Christ-like figure.
A hero. Not the hero we deserved, but the hero we needed. Nothing less than a knight.
Lord Christopher Nolan wrote Two-Face to function on multiple levels of the story, to add that extra depth and pizzazz that has become a trademark of his writing on his notable characters. But the praise just doesn't go to Christopher Nolan, but also his brother Jonathan Nolan and David S. Goyer. But the biggest shout out goes to Mr. President himself, Aaron Eckhart. He deserves much better roles. Aaron Eckhart also provides a performance to encapsulate what Goyer, Nolan, and Nolan have created. During the press tours, he always referred to Two-Face as Harvey Two-Face, famously. This isn't Eckhart being showy, but an example of his understanding of the character. Two-Face was a part of Eckhart's Harvey, a twisted version of his wish fulfillment, not a separate character. Eckhart also played on the darker aspects of Dent in his performance. Eckhart also focused on making Harvey just as memorable. Memorable as the titular villain, which he accomplishes, in my opinion. Drawing upon real-life politicians, it just makes his performance all the more realistic. His performance was also heightened by the amazing work of the VFX artists. one of the more rare times when CGI is the better choice over heavy makeup, allowing for Eckhart to fully act. The VFX did look amazing though, with all the tendons and muscles you could see. It was pretty cool. But why does this make Eckhart's Two-Face one of the greatest villains in comic book movie history ever? I mean, that's quite the pretentious statement, isn't it? Well, we all know about the traditional MCU villain problem, and if you don't, it's the sort of thing where the main antagonist lacks depth and is just your average big gray baddie. There are many people who can explain this more in depth. In most cases, though, nowadays, the focus is put upon the heroes more so than the villains, creating not so interesting conflicts between the protagonist and antagonist's ideologies. Not that a hero-focused comic book movie is a bad thing, but because The Dark Knight splits the development of the protagonist Bruce Wayne, the protagonist Harvey Dent, and the antagonist Joker nearly equally, allows for this ideological conflict between the characters you won't find in modern comic book movies. Infinity War came close to this, but the movie is unbalanced between the development of the protagonist Thanos and the protagonists, the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy, with Thanos receiving more development. But it was appropriate structurally for the movie. I'm rambling on, aren't I? Yes, you over-analytic fuck. Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight is the tragic story of a pristine champion of a crime-ridden city trying to do good, but his own character flaws sprout and grow into something self-destructive due to the world around him. Executed by critically acclaimed director Christopher Nolan, with an exceptional performance provided by Aaron Eckhart. Compare this to most movie villains nowadays. Most comic book movie villains nowadays. Harvey Dent truly is one of the best comic book movie villains we've had to date.
Gotham needs its true hero.
Harvey Dent fell into his deepest wishes and let out his inner carnal desires of violence. If you crave violence but want to obey the law and unleash it in a healthy way through a massively online multiplayer mobile game, then you should check out today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by